We often speak of psychic energy as if it were a mystical force, something unseen yet undeniably felt, an internal fire that fuels our ambitions, our desires, and our connections to others. But Carl Jung saw this energy not simply as fuel, but as a manifestation of the soul's struggle to become whole. It moves, not in straight lines, but in spirals, looping through our desires, our wounds, and the stories we tell ourselves. Psychic energy is the soul's currency, flowing into thoughts, emotions, dreams, and behaviors. Yet many of us hemorrhage it unknowingly. We give too much, love too hard, and empty ourselves into the void of others' expectations, thinking this will make us worthy, safe, or loved. We call it kindness, compassion, or being emotionally available. But Jung would say it's often a mask worn by the fragmented self, a self that hasn't yet individuated, the overgiver, the emotional caretaker, the one who feels everything so deeply. They are not always operating from strength, but often from a wound. We become addicted to fixing, soothing, and carrying burdens that aren't ours. And each time we do, we siphon off a piece of ourselves, pouring psychic energy into external chaos to avoid confronting the chaos within. This isn't empathy. It's unconscious survival. It's the child who once earned safety by being useful, lovable, compliant, or invisible. And now, as an adult, they replay that same emotional script in every relationship. Overgiving becomes a ritual of self-erasure, an attempt to secure belonging through exhaustion. But no matter how much you give, the hole in your chest never fills. Because you're not really giving to others. You're trying to retrieve a part of yourself you lost long ago. Jung believed that what we do not bring to consciousness appears in our lives as fate. The overgiver's fate is burnout, emotional collapse, a quiet rage that simmers beneath the surface, aimed not at others, but at the self who never learned to say no, to set boundaries, or to stop bleeding for those who wouldn't bleed for them. Overgiving is not love. It's often fear disguised as virtue, fear of abandonment, fear of disconnection, fear of being irrelevant unless we are needed. So, we remain emotionally available to everyone but ourselves. We tune into everyone's pain but mute our own. We smile when we want to scream. We stay when we want to leave. We give when we are empty. This dissonance between the true self and the performed self fractures our inner world. It splits the psyche into masks and shadows. The mask is what the world sees, the helpful friend, the reliable partner, the nurturing parent. The shadow is what festers beneath, resentment, anger, exhaustion, shame. And the more we reject the shadow, the more it rules us from the dark. This is why people who are always so nice often explode one day, seemingly out of nowhere. The psyche, exhausted from its own self-betrayal, rebels. Jung called this inner rebellion the work of individuation, a process where we reclaim the parts of ourselves we've exiled. To individuate, we must look at why we overgive, why we tolerate what breaks us, and why we stay loyal to pain. Psychic energy must return to the self. It must no longer be squandered in endless acts of people-pleasing, codependence, and self-abandonment. We must become less available to what drains us, less accommodating to dysfunction, less obsessed with being understood. Because the path to wholeness is not paved with sacrifice, but with truth. And the truth is, you are not responsible for healing everyone. You are not obligated to hold what others refuse to carry. Your empathy does not require you to be a martyr. Real compassion includes the self. If your kindness costs you your peace, it's not kindness, it's compulsion. Many emotionally attuned people struggle with this. They were taught that love means overextending, that being needed is the same as being valued, and that their worth is tied to what they do for others. But this is a dangerous myth. It leads to emotional anemia, a slow, invisible death where the soul starves while the persona thrives. You smile, you give, you serve. But deep down, you are tired of being the strong one. You are tired of being the emotional sponge. You are tired of pretending that being everything to everyone is sustainable. It's not. And eventually, the body keeps the score. Anxiety, depression, insomnia, apathy, chronic illness. Emotional burnout is not just psychological, it's physiological. Because your nervous system was never meant to be everyone's safe haven, especially not while you're drowning. Individuation requires that we take back our energy, piece by piece. It is a painful reckoning, a dismantling of the identity we built on usefulness, but it is also a liberation. It is the moment you stop asking, "How can I be enough for them?" and begin asking, "What does being enough for myself look like?" You begin to see that your time, your attention, your empathy, these are sacred. Not everyone is entitled to them. Not every call deserves to be answered. Not every wound is yours to bandage. Not every broken thing is yours to repair. You begin to unlearn your addiction to being needed. You start finding meaning outside of martyrdom. You become less accessible to chaos, less tolerant of guilt-based intimacy, less reactive to emotional manipulation disguised as love. You stop making excuses for people who only reach for you when they're sinking. You stop romanticizing emotional labor. You stop being the lighthouse for ships that never intend to anchor. And when you do this, something strange happens. At first, people may resent you. They'll say you've changed, you're colder, less compassionate. But what they really mean is, you've stopped feeding the dysfunction they depended on. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call you selfish. Protecting your energy is not a crime. It's a revolution. Because when psychic energy is no longer squandered in emotional caretaking, it returns to its rightful place, your growth, your healing, your creativity. You begin to dream again. You begin to feel again. You begin to live, not just survive. This is the gift of individuation. It doesn't make you less loving. It makes your love conscious. No longer a reflex, but a choice. No longer an addiction, but a strength. Jung believed that the unconscious holds all the parts of the self we suppress: the anger, the desire, the grief, the need. When we integrate these, we no longer project them onto others. We no longer seek in others what we deny in ourselves. The overgiver integrates their own need. The emotionally available person becomes available to themselves. The fixer learns to sit with things they cannot fix. This is the maturity of the soul, not perfection, but integration. Not purity, but wholeness. And wholeness is messy. It means setting boundaries and feeling guilty. It means disappointing others and surviving it. It means feeling the urge to overgive and choosing not to. Over time, you stop confusing guilt with betrayal. You stop seeing self-protection as selfish. You stop bleeding for those who won't even hand you a bandage. And in that silence, when the chaos fades, when the emotional noise dies down, you meet someone you may have forgotten. Yourself. The real you. The one who isn't always strong. The one who doesn't have to perform. The one who is enough, even in stillness, even in solitude, even in not being needed. That version of you, the one with quiet power and reclaimed energy, is the self you've always been searching for. And when you find them, you realize your value was never in how much you gave. It was in who you are when you stop giving to earn love. That is the true alchemy of healing, when psychic energy becomes sacred again. When you no longer spill yourself for validation. When you become a sanctuary for your own soul. And from that sanctuary, you no longer chase people, attention, or approval. You attract what matches your truth, because your energy no longer vibrates with desperation, but with clarity. You are no longer haunted by emptiness, because you've filled your own cup. You've made space for solitude without loneliness, boundaries without guilt, and love without sacrifice. You've stopped overgiving. You've stopped over-explaining. You've stopped apologizing for existing. And in doing so, you've awakened the part of you that was never broken, just buried beneath the debris of emotional servitude. You are not cold. You are clear. You are not distant. You are discerning. And in a world that glorifies burnout as virtue, clarity is rebellion. So, protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Your psychic energy is not infinite. It is sacred. It is fuel for your becoming. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Stop mistaking exhaustion for virtue. Stop calling yourself erasure love. True love, real connection, deep empathy. They don't cost you your soul. They nourish it. They feed it. They expand it. Anything less is a transaction, not a bond. Anything less is not love. It's survival. And you were not born to merely survive. You were born to awaken, to integrate, to rise,